Roxy.
Good morning, Tam Tam.
Week has gone on forever. I'm done.
Done it forever and ever. It's like the never-ending quarantine week of all quarantine weeks, and it's not even Friday yet.
I know. It's because we just started homeschooling, and I'm like, I don't want this job. Like, this is not the job that I signed up for. I'm done.
I like the second I think I'm like going to get a break, I sit her down to do the homeschooling. And then it's like 10 minutes later, it's like done.
Yeah. Then it's like coding. I'm like, she's 5. Why does she need to know how to code a computer? No one cares. She doesn't care.
So she can do our website.
Exactly. Well, thank God we have a breath of fresh air as a guest today, right?
Yes. Oh my God. I feel like it's USC week this week because I have my other gal pal, Tracy Tutor, coming in on the show today. We had Sasha Alexander earlier in the week, and we're doing the USC team now. So welcome, Tracy.
Hey, Roxy. Hey, Tammin. How are you guys?
Surviving slowly.
It's not the word of the week.
Tracy, how is quarantine going for you right now?
You know, guys, there's good days and bad days. I would say like 2 out of every 7 days, I wake up in a wretched mood.
Yes. 2 is a good number.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, if we can make it to 5 o'clock without pouring ourselves a cocktail today, it'll be a miracle. But today is actually like a relatively good day. I'm like hanging in there. I cleaned a lot today. I'm like sore from vacuuming. What the hell?
Yeah, it's a workout.
Do me a favor. The next time you scrub a toilet, post it on Insta stories.
Yes. I haven't done that yet.
I am. That's where I draw the freaking line. I am not scrubbing a toilet.
Who are you outsourcing that one to?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't think they've been scrubbed. They're just going to have to deal with it.
Mine have
I'm not
not been
looking
scrubbed.
at it. I want nothing to do with it. I am not scrubbing my kids' toilet. They can scrub their own damn toilets. Forget it.
And it's weird because you see, like, when you look at the toilets, like, I didn't really notice how much gets caked on, like, underneath the lid. Do you know what I mean? And, like, you're not aware because, like, we have someone clean it once, like, a week. So, like, I didn't know how much cake just sits there. And now I'm like, what do I do with that? I'm just going to have to just leave it.
It's the only way.
It's making me a little nauseous. I gotta be honest.
Can't wait for it to be done. Okay, so what do you like? Yeah, so you're holding up. Are you cooking? You've been cooking a little bit. I feel like
I go like 4 days on, and then like 2 days off, and then 4 again, and then 2, and then today's gonna be a day off, I think. Or actually, my quarantine pal, Eric, is going to be doing the cooking tonight. So that should be interesting because we're having rice casserole, everyone.
Sounds tasty.
I was saying to Roxy that, like, in the beginning, it was like, oh man, I'm gonna make like zucchini soup from scratch with like basil, and like I'm gonna bake it, and I'm gonna do all these amazing things. I made biscotti for 3.5 hours, and now it's just like tuna on a rice cake and like a can of peas, and I'm like, that's all you get. Like, I'm done. It was a great little thing for the first couple of weeks, but you're gonna get canned peas.
The other day when I was having one of my bad days, I was just cranky as shit, and I was just on the computer too much, and I need to like get outside more in order for me to have like a decent day. I have to like work out in the morning and then like get out again in like the afternoon and like take a walk or whatever. Hadn't done any of it, and I was on the computer. I was on Food Network downloading recipes that I am never going to cook for at least 3 hours. I even went so far as to like, when you can like put the shopping list together. It's not happening. I went to Bristol Farms yesterday. I got chicken wings. Chicken wings. Okay, buffalo chicken wings. Whatever this rice casserole recipe is, and
oh my God.
That's all we got. That's it.
You can survive on that. That's fine. It's doable, right?
I don't know. I mean, listen. I'm just trying not to get fat.
I know, yeah.
Well, you're not getting fat because you're posting exercise videos every 2 seconds.
It's the only reason I'm not getting fat, because I am exercising every day. Otherwise, I'd be a tank. I ordered an umami burger the other day. Like, I don't know who I think I am. It's like I'm like 44 going on 25. Yeah.
Right. Calories don't count in quarantine. It's fine. There's no such thing as carbs.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. And anyone who wants to give me shit for drinking before 5 can eat it. I really okay? I'm not into, like, yesterday I had a glass of rosé by the pool at like 2.
Oh, sounds perfect.
It was actually perfect.
Right?
Aren't you interested to see like what everyone's going to look like after quarantine? Because like there's so much that we as women like try to hide from the world, and it just is, whether it's like you're coloring your hair or your nails or things that we do to our face, like whatever it is, we're all just trying to look our best possible selves. I'm like, what is going to happen? Like it's going to be like, this, like zombies coming out in some way. Like what is, or maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's good to like get back to our natural.
Not good. Yeah. It is not good. It's not okay. By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I am not having it. Like I put tanning lotion on daily. Look at these little like magnetic lashes I found.
Oh my
God. Amazing. They're magnetic. I mean, Instagram is like hooking me up. And then, our colorist, Roxy George, is sending out color kits. So
did you try them yet? Did you do it?
Yeah, I did my roots. I'd be so gray. Are you joking?
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just go to your house.
For dear life.
Yeah.
Hanging on for dear life over here. Hey, you can come over, just, remain 10 feet away.
Yeah. Roxy's going to be brown hair by the time this is over.
Look at this. It's like so half brown. Look at that. My daughter.
But Rudy is in.
Rudy, I mean, I'm just trying to pull that ombre for as long as possible.
Yeah.
my daughter was like, Mommy, why is your hair half brown, half yellow? I'm like, why is anything?
You're like, you're 6 years old. Your opinions don't matter.
And why? Oh, and then another one was, why is your tummy squishy? I'm like, listen, I have not gotten to the gym.
Wow. Rude.
Yeah, mine just plays with mine, and she just gets it, and she goes, "This is magic. It's like marshmallow." I'm just
how dare she? Go to hell, child. Go to hell.
Wait, Trace, how has it been with the teenager in the house? You got the teenager, you got the preteen. How?
She's working out right now in the garage. We turned our garage into a gym, and so she's working out. Mm-hmm. And she's also a good cook. So like she's stepping up her game. It's nice to have her around. The little one is just
you'll take him back.
The little one is mini you. I mean, Scarlett is you.
She's right outside. I know.
You have 2 girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have 2 girls, and they're with me like 50% of the time, a little bit more right now, but it's been they're fun to have around. I don't like it when they're not around. They're at like that awesome age where like they can watch like scary movies with me now. Like last night we watched Sixth Sense.
Oh yeah.
And,
like I don't know, they're just cool. Like they're fun to talk to. Like Juliet pours me my glass of wine at 5.
Yeah, so you order them around.
We're on like a good program. You guys just wait until they get a little bit older and they just start to get you.
Yeah.
And you're like, see, now you know. Like, it's fun. I mean, I'm lucky. They're not like bad teenagers,
Yeah. They actually do listen pretty well,
What?
Scarlett, maybe not.
Yelling at me.
Yeah. She's like giving you the
Say
finger.
hi to everyone. Hi.
Hey, Scarlett.
Hi. She's walking in the back. Is it hard to co-parent when you're in quarantine? Like, do you get on with their father?
Yeah, we get along great.
You're like, no, I don't know what I'm supposed to say, quote unquote.
No. Actually, we're pretty cool. We're on the same page as in with most parenting things. So, and he kind of, when it comes to like girl stuff, he's just like, I defer to you. And I'm like, okay, great. So we're actually fine. And, we're just like living the dream over here, just taking the kids back and forth. And then I get like 2 days off, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like I have them for 2 days, and then he has them for 2 days, and then I have them for 5, and then he has them for 5. So just when I want to like choke them out, I hand them off.
It's the perfect situation.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good. Like in the quarantine, you guys are kind of like, you're splitting it up. So it's like they get to come with you, they get to go with him. It's like not all, okay, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can
The beauty
visit.
of divorce.
Yeah. Right? Time in, time out. Time in, time out.
Sounds like a perfect situation.
Yeah.
Kind of is.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
And hey, you don't have to see him too. That's another bonus.
Another added bonus.
So fun. So that's good. But so obviously I know the answer to this one. Is there happy hour every day in your house? No.
Well, is there happy hour and are you FaceTiming any boys at the same time?
Well, I've got one in the house, so I don't really need to FaceTime anyone.
Oh.
Yeah, what
I know how to pick a quarantine. Okay.
Yeah, how is quarantine with your quarantine friend?
It's fun. We're having a good time. Staying in shape. We're a lot of cardio.
Never run out of that cardio, do ya?
No.
Did you decide right before quarantine, or like did you decide right before quarantine who you were going to be quarantined with, or was it like you had a little bit of leeway?
We were in Mexico right before this all went down. So we kind of came back into this craziness. I was living my best life in Mexico at the beginning of this.
Yes. I mean, it's a nice way to kind of like intro into it, you know?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you know. Mm-hmm.
So what are the highlights?
By the way, I wouldn't have come back if I didn't have kids. I'd be like in Mexico still.
Yeah.
on your beach, drinking your margaritas.
1,000%.
Ah, nice. So what are the highlights of this quarantine with this boy?
He's an excellent trainer. So I'm getting working on my abs, you know.
Got some rock solid ones.
Yeah. We're really, we're working really hard on that. Mm-hmm. And he's lovely to look at. And he's cooking tonight. So there's that.
Yeah, that's a good thing. How old is he?
Is he over 25? Or have you not asked?
She knows.
No, he's around, the mid-20s. He's over
21 is not mid-20s, FYI.
Yeah, no. He's in his mid-20s.
It's weird because I said that if my husband and I didn't work out, I would definitely go younger. Because it's like,
Oh, yeah.
It's the best.
Keep up, right?
Keep up.
Oh my God.
There's so much that's not being said on this podcast interview. It's like we're just kind of like skirting around exactly what we're trying to say and then just laughing when the punchline's supposed to be there. Hopefully people will understand what's happening.
All right.
Listen, I would just say that I've had a hard time post-divorce dating in my age group.
Yeah. Staying within that, time frame. It doesn't make sense. Go younger.
No, they're so easy when they're younger.
Malleable.
They're not. They're malleable. They're not dramatic. They have great bodies. They don't ask a lot of questions. It's just easy breezy.
Just make them into what you need. They can just meet your needs.
Yes.
I love it.
Right? So what is the it's going to be hard because we're in quarantine right now. But when you were more single and dating pre-quarantine, what were your dates like? What were these first dates like and stuff like that?
Because it's been so long for Roxy and I. It's been a long time.
Like I said, I don't know why I attract the younger generation, but I consistently just get asked out by men under the age of 35 /30. And I've entertained it a little bit. I had a date where I went to the French Laundry. Amazing. Mm-hmm. Still young dude, I mean, that's pretty baller for like an, under 35 guy to be like, I'm taking her to the French Laundry. I was like, all right, game on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think younger men are attracted to women in their 40s because we have just a level of confidence that I think a lot of women in their late 20s and maybe their early 30s don't have. And we really I think we have the IDGAF attitude.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. And we're just doing us. Like, we don't exist because of them.
Right.
They're just like, they're like a guest star in the show that we're already operating in. And, they can kind of come in and out. We're happy to have them there, but like, we still can breathe and function without them. And that's really, I think, attractive to a lot of guys.
Yeah, I think the codependency in relationships, I think is such a turnoff for men. Like when a woman is so needy in so many ways. And I think it's just like, it's built in us. Like for some reason, we're more sensitive than men are, and we like to feel secure. And I think once you get to a certain age, you kind of develop your own needs and wants. And I think that's a real turn on for a man, because women do come across sometimes as really over like wanting you, and it's not as sexy. There is a game,
Yeah. I mean, and I didn't even know I was really playing the game piece. Like, I just didn't, it just was just sort of happening that way. And I just started to pick up on it after, the fourth or fifth time I was either attracting that type of guy that was a little bit younger. And then I was like, why? Like, why can't I have a guy with a yacht that's 60? And the truth is, I guess I don't really want that. So I started to kind of put that together. And when I did, I was like, you know what? I'm exactly where I'm supposed to friggin' be. And when I'm ready to have something different or more serious or more committed and maybe long term, then I'll say it out loud and it will come to me. Until then, I'm just like living my best life. And, my girlfriends are like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, no, I'm actually not. I'm having a really like fun time, and I'm not going to apologize for it.
No.
And you think, here's the thing. You've settled down before. You've had kids. You've done the whole marriage route. It's not like it's something you've not done before. It's like, why not take this time and be free and just have fun with whoever you want,
Yeah, I don't honestly know if I'll ever get married again.
Really?
Like, maybe I'll have like a Goldie and like
Kurt
moment. I don't know. I don't know if that's attractive to me anymore. I could be like in a 5-year relationship with like 10 different men over the course of the next 4 years.
Right.
Wait.
You could at the same time.
50 years, 5 years, whatever. Point being, I feel like I could fall in love. I love falling in love. Like, I love that whole piece. I love like the excitement. I love the first 90 days, to be honest. Then,
isn't there a 90-day fiance show? That's why people get married in 90 days.
Wait, people are obsessed with that show, by the way.
Yeah.
But I sort of feel like I could really do like, one person every couple of years, and then just, be like, it was awesome. Thank you so much. I grew as a
Thanks
person.
for playing. It's good.
Thanks. Let's part. Like almost like a lease, like in real estate. Like you lease it for a year. You have an option to extend. Maybe you do, maybe you don't.
Yeah.
And then you part ways and you move on, and it's no hard feelings. And then you get to experience someone new.
Yeah. But don't you think the beginning part, especially what keeps it so exciting, are those games? Like, there's something fun about playing a game, like not being like so outright. Do you know what I mean?
I think the most fun is doing exactly that and being totally outright. I mean, when was the last time, Roxy, that you were
it's
totally outright? I mean, when we were in college, we were like, oh my God, I like him. I need him to like me. Like, I have to do all of these things. And then, you ended up meeting somebody in your 20s and you date a little bit, and that's totally messed up. And then finally you fall in love, you get married, you do all of that. Well, for the last, how long have you and David been married? Forever?
Jesus, it's going to be 15 years this month.
We're 13.
Right. So 15 years, 13 years, like once that's over, I think it's kind of cool to be able to be like, I'd like you to come over tonight and fuck the shit.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's great. I think that's great. Why not?
Do you ever
Right?
worry
Yeah.
about
And why play game? Why play games about it? Why be like, we're adults. Like, if we're doing something that we're both feel good about, like
Yeah.
the whole commentary that used to happen when we were younger, like
Uh-huh.
I think we should all be embracing our inner slut all the time.
Right.
It's powerful. Look,
It
I love
is.
sex. I love sex more than anyone.
Yeah.
But I've always had this codependent problem in my life, and I need to learn how to be alone, because my question to you is, would you worry about being alone for the rest of your life? If that was just some men that you fall in love with and you spend this sexy time with them, but you don't ever really spend the rest of your life with them, and you're 70, 80 years old and you're by yourself, are you okay with that? Because
I think it's just the experience of, and there are lonely moments for sure. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, in between the romps, like you have moments where you're like, oh, this would be nice to like share this with somebody or whatever. But I do think that you can have and maintain relationships without, like when we were younger and when you guys both got married and when I did too, it was all about leading towards forever, right? Like, it was all about like, I'm with this person to figure out if I could be with them for the rest of my life. And I don't think that that's the way that we need to look at relationships. I think that now, because I've had kids and I'm already there, and I don't think this is not necessarily for like the 25-year-old girl, although God bless her if this is the direction she wants to go. I think that, at my age, because I've been there and I've done that, I can have a relationship. I don't need to think about what forever looks like. I've got, we already have all this baggage and all this bullshit. Like, get rid of it. If you're enjoying someone, I don't care if they're 25 or 85 or rich or poor or fat or thin or whatever the hell your parents told you weren't allowed to go out with and you're going out with, like, enjoy it for as long as it's willing to run its course and then move on.
Yeah.
yeah.
And if that takes you through 3 relationships in the next, 30 years, then great. And if you end up being 75 and, you meet someone new, then even better.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense,
Yeah, Roxy,
it totally makes sense.
Roxy like sitting here like wanting to kill our husbands, and we're like, that sounds so lovely.
The fear for most women, I think, that are married and have been married 15 years, 13 years happily, or maybe even more importantly, unhappily, are like and I remember I went through this before I got divorced, where I was like, God, should I just suck it up? And like, I mean, I'm unhappy, but I'm not like, oh, I don't want to choke him out. I'm not, like I was just not, like, do I just stay with it? Like, and I think there's a lot of women like that because they're terrified of what the other side looks like. And I think the other side is like really fantastic.
But what about the women who might not be as financially stable, let's say, and rely on their husbands?
I feel like,
for money.
that's always
yeah.
I feel like that's always a massive consideration with most of the women that I know that, have considered maybe getting a divorce. Finances were always a big thing because they gave up maybe their career and ended up having babies and then, kind of lost that independence financially when they got married. And that's a really tough thing. I talk about it a lot in my book because I think there's just a lot of women who kind of come back after a divorce, whether it was induced by them, self-induced or something that they were forced into, that are just trying to find their way again financially so that they can, be happy. And that's a scary thing. But I also think, staying tethered to someone purely for money is the most miserable existence.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
How did you know that he wasn't right? Like, do you remember just waking up one day and just thinking, I'm just really like, was it just a day? Like you were just done?
Yeah. I say, I talk about it a lot, and it's like, when you're on the fence about a decision and you could sit on that damn fence for, years, whether it's a career decision or whether or not to remain friends with someone or whether or not to stay married. I was on that fence for 5 years with Jason. And, one day I just took that leap of faith. And when my feet hit the ground on the other side, there was never a moment, not even for a minute, where I said, maybe I'm making a mistake. Because once I think this is a female thing. I think that women are so caught in the decision and the process in the morning that we do most of our morning like in a breakup during the actual relationship. We're like, it's almost like we're preparing ourselves for, like a different experience. And so by the time we actually break up with them, for the most part, if it's our decision, we're done. And that's what happened to me, in my own marriage is I, landed on the other side of it. And I think I was even scared that I was going to have second thoughts. But once I was there, it was like that my feet were so firmly set in the ground. And I had this like new, I don't know, I just felt like a weight was off of my chest. I could breathe again. And I felt happy that I actually took that leap of faith and made that decision, because I think so many people like live in fear constantly. And it's like, sometimes you just have to go for it and see what happens.
What finally gave you that strength though, to do it, to make the decision?
I don't know. There's no like one thing.
Yeah.
I think just in life, whether again, in a marriage or in a business or in a friendship, there's a morning where you wake up and you just have clarity. And I think that I woke up one day and I had a ton of clarity and I was like, I'm going to be just fine. And that was it. And the decision was made and there was no turning back. And, again, even when I made the decision, I wasn't sure it was going to be like this permanent feeling. But then once I made it, I was good.
And you never turn back, girl. That's for sure.
No, girl.
How do you co-parent? Like, how do you co-parent? Like, what is your style? Because I think that, I once heard from a therapist that two really happy divorced parents are better than two people together miserable with kids. So how do you keep it? Yeah. How do you keep co-parenting healthy? Because I know if that ever happened to me, it's in me. Like there's something about me that's a little bit vindictive and a little bit, but you can't be that person when you have children, because the people that fail are them. The people, not fail, the people who lose are your children. So you have to suck up your own ego and be like, okay, I have to be a good person for my kids.
Yeah, I think there's obviously mistakes that you make along the way, particularly in the beginning of a divorce, and just kind of navigating those moments with grace, because I really had to, do what was right for my kids. It certainly didn't feel right to me. Like everything in my gut was like, this screwed up. But it was a really great lesson, I think, both for Jason and I. And I would say it took us about 6 months post the divorce being filed, where we started to sort of figure it out. And then by the time the divorce was final, that first year was over. And then we really sort of settled in and, started forgiving each other and becoming, just better co-parents. And now we're like golden. I mean, we have family night together.
Yeah.
He comes over, we go out for sushi with the kids, and we're just, we were talking about it the other day, because sometimes the kids will play you against each other. And we were like, we've got to stay on the same page, because, they're getting to the age where they're manipulative enough to be able to go to dad's house and, sort of, not mention what mom's rules were when they went to, so we have to be constantly in communication.
And that took about a year, right? So you guys could sort of settle. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely took a while.
It's almost like you have to forgive them. You have to forgive all the pain that you feel like you put each other through. And once you've forgiven, then you can move forward.
Absolutely.
It's hard though, right? It was hard.
It was super hard for me. It took me a year to really find that forgiveness and really move to a different place where he was no longer my ex-husband, but he was now the girl's dad. And we were doing this together in a different relationship. And now we're cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. He drives me batshit crazy from time to time, but we have a new love for each other and a new respect for each other. And so it's been better to raise the girls, but it's not to say that we didn't have our struggles and that it didn't affect the kids in the first year. It did. I think they felt that tug of war between the houses and trying to figure that whole piece out. But then, ultimately, we sorted through it and we found our way and they're all still standing, there's something about, like perseverance and these kids, like
Mm-hmm.
not anybody ever has been raised. And it was like, roses and,
Puppies and
hearts.
kittens. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not peas and kittens. And it
Yeah.
never is. And kids need to learn how to persevere through, like, in the real fucking world.
Mm-hmm.
So, because their mom and dad don't love each other in a certain way anymore, it doesn't mean they're all going to collapse and fall down and not be able to recover. But it's like how we as parents and ex-husband and wife manage it. It is our job not to fuck up the next piece.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we can't like sit in a shitty marriage that we're both unhappy in because we think it's better for the kids to have a 2-parent household. That's bullshit.
Right.
It's absolute
Yeah.
bullshit. I know so many unhappy couples that are staying together, and you don't think when those kids see them fighting and like taking jabs at each other that these kids that doesn't resonate with them. That's what I
Right.
call like an unhealthy like relationship with the other sex. And that's why little girls have these issues with men and, abandonment bullshit and all that stuff because they watch their parents like stay in really unhealthy, fucked up situations.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to people that are afraid to leave a marriage because they think about their kids? Like, not necessarily it's because of the kid, but like if they feel like they're stuck in a situation, what would you say to them?
Well, listen, it's not like I'm so opinionated, I know, but like for me, I think it depends on the couple and it depends on how unhealthy their situation is. If
Right.
they are just sort of not in love anymore, but they've maintained this great friendship and parenting thing and it works for them, then God bless, go with God. But I mean, if they're in an unhealthy dynamic and they're all living under one roof and the kids are seeing it, that is way worse than, John living down the street from Becky and them doing a 2-5 split, I don't think it's nice for the kids to see mom not getting out of bed in the morning because she's she's miserable because, her husband didn't come home the night before. I mean, like these kids are smart and, with social media and how much more access they have, like they know more now than we did when we were their age.
Yeah.
So the cues are all there. And if you're in an unhealthy relationship, I would just say, think about what their relationship with the opposite sex is going to be like when they're adults watching the dysfunction that you're teaching them.
I always find relationships interesting because there is a period in the beginning where everything works. And I feel like the pressures on men and women these days is far beyond the pressures that there used to be. It's, both sexes want careers. They also want families. There's also about keeping up with the Joneses and about the best schools. And so that puts pressure in finances, with family, with careers. Like I just think it's always a pressure cooker. And I sometimes even feel like this quarantine has been, yes, for some marriages, not the greatest thing, but for others, maybe magic, because everything's had to slow down and you've had to go back to basics and you go, wow, I do see you again. We're not passing ships in the night. And I sometimes feel like with relationships, some are thrown out too early and then some are not thrown out at all. Sometimes you definitely should. But I sometimes wonder about all those relationships where all the stresses are just so high and how we can limit some of those in today's world. Because it's a lot. It's a lot, especially, Roxy and I were talking just homeschooling right now and like having a good marriage and kids. And, no wonder people are just exploding.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think, obviously, if not for COVID, and if we were, I would say like we should be forced into quarantine for 2 weeks every year, like mandatory, because I think it's a great way to reconnect. And, again, I think out of this might come some divorces, but I think out of it might come some reconnection. I mean, I know that even just the people that I do love, that it's kind of forces you to kind of, make an effort and be vulnerable and really, really connect, which it's so easy to like, be here all the time,
Right.
caught up. So I agree with you.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, I mean, the quarantine and COVID, how has your real estate business been affected by like all this? Are you still gangbusters or is it like totally slowed down?
I was talking to the CEO of the Western region of our company this morning, and the company is down 45%.
Oh, wow.
Just in closed, just in general business. Me personally, I lost about 15 million in deals once we started, this, just business falling out of escrow and people backing out due to the pandemic. And, we haven't been able to show property, much less even now that we are allowed to show vacant property. It's still a challenge because some agents don't want to show property because they don't want to come in contact with you or your buyer. So it's just, it really is a mess for us. And, I think, only the strong will survive, at least our business because we're commission based. So, I mean, I'm not making $1 if I'm not closing.
Are you scared about the future, or do you feel like because everything stopped, is going to be like a mad rush for people to invest money and spend money, or do you think it's like made such a massive dent that we might not be able to recover?
No, I always like to I'm a little bit more of an optimist and glass half full kind of person, and I do think that there will be a lot of people that will suffer and we will have a challenging time coming out of this. But I also think that that's like the beauty of America and all of us as citizens. I think that that's what makes our country so fantastic. I think that everybody kind of we thrive on, what our country is all about. And I think coming back from something, I think coming back as huge as COVID and something that we've never been through anything like this before, and being able to recover from it is just something that I think the people of this country are going to be really proud about. Like, I think everybody, it's like, I always say, like, this country's at its finest when the chips are down. It's like when we were out, when this first happened and, we were walking, we were still allowed to, walk around with masks at 10 feet apart or whatever. And, everybody was like waving hi to each other and people were everybody was just like more friendly. And I think that's something that's really good about the people in our fine nation. No, so I think we'll come out of this. I really do. And of course, I think, business will suffer and small businesses are going to have a difficult time. But I think with the stimulus package, hopefully we should be able to get some relief and, continue our business once we're able to start showing property again.
Well, I mean, nonetheless, you've still been busy. I mean, you're launching your book. Fear is a 4-letter word. Coming out this month. And so, Trey, what made you want to write the book? And like, what was that process like?
Well, obviously when I got the show, the opportunity to work on $1 Million Listing as the female cast member on the show, there was just some discussion about it after the first season. Like, it's not like I was new to the business. When the boys came to the show, a lot of them were relatively new to the business. So it was a really good place for them to build a business where I had been doing it for 17 years when I started the show. And so it just started to resonate with me and, being the female on the cast, and we'll see talking about a lot of that on the show and what it's like to be a woman in business, that why wouldn't I want to share some of my failures and stories and tips that I have for young women coming into not just my business, but just any business for that matter, or women that are getting divorced and wanting to get back into the workforce and have that fear of, can I do it at 40 or 38, or can I do it with like 3 young kids all by myself? Yeah, you can. And so that's what kind of inspired the book. And, it took me a long time to figure that out. And I still don't have it like 100% figured out, but why not share what I do know with women coming into it so that they hopefully don't take 20 years to figure it out like I have.
What was that process like writing the book? Were you writing it like bits and pieces and like kind of yeah.
It was a trip. Obviously, I am a terrible, me putting pen to paper is tragic. Like I am, like the grammar would be hideous. There'd be F-bombs all over the place, and there are anyway. But I worked with a really great ghostwriter, and we talked like 4 days a week, an hour every day, or an hour a day. And then she would come and see me on weekends, and we'd spend 2 or 3 days together. And we wrote the book in about 4.5 months time. And then the editing process was about 2 months. So all in, it was about a 6-month, hardcore process. And there were days where it was like at the end of a long work day at 7 o'clock at night, I'd have to sit on the phone for an hour and a half and try to remember stories from when I was 24 years old. And it was taxing. It was very taxing, but also very rewarding.
What is the book about? Is it about dating men under 21 years old?
How to date men under 25?
Yeah, how to date men between 20 and 25 years old.
Well, it applies to every aspect of your life, but the book is called Fear is Just a 4-Letter Word. This is the book.
Nice.
No wonder you're getting asked out.
Yeah, but I feel like that really applies. Even right now, fear is such a huge piece to how reactive we all are to the things that we go through. So for me, whether it's in relationships or, in a business interview, or you're up for a new, position, or you're walking in or you're trying to get a listing away from, the guy that's been getting it from you for the last 10 years, fear is a big piece that holds us back. And so that's what I talk about. It's a book about different things you can do to leave that fear at the door. And it's all about, in my opinion, not completely experience. I think you have to live in that emotion. I think you have to experience the fear, and then you just have to figure out how the hell to put it away before you walk in the door for the interview or the appointment or the meeting or the relationship, because and remain authentic to yourself in that process.
I don't even know what my life would be like without fear. I think it's so ingrained in us from such an early age, and especially our work and being women in the workforce. It's I think that to not have fear, I would be surprised at who I could be. So it's a wonderful thing to help people like myself to try to be a better, authentic self,
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I'm not saying that I don't have fear. I still do. I just have I've figured out by process of failure over and over again, and just different huge personalities and just the way that I grew up, to the men that I've worked for, and how long I've been doing it and competing at that level. I have stories, and I think that I have certain ways that I've figured out how to experience the fear and then put it the hell away and walk in the room and own it. And sometimes it's it's simple things like when someone intimidates you, I'll share a little tidbit. I was in a really important meeting with maybe my biggest client in the history of my career. And a gentleman wanted to meet with him. And I didn't know if this guy was real or not, but he talked a really big game. And I finally said, all right, I'm going to put us in a room together. And we had a sort of early dinner at the Soho House in Malibu. And he's sitting on one side and my client's sitting on the other side, and I'm sitting in the middle. And it's like two massive male egos just talking over each other constantly. And the buyer that was just really pushing it a little too far, in my opinion. I kept trying to step in and sort of navigate between the two of them. And he made it incredibly difficult, to where I started getting a little flustered and I was getting angry, and the fear was creeping up. And then he looked at me and I said something like, why don't we get back to what we were talking about before, which is the actual proposal, instead of, this. And he looked at me and he goes, what are you, on your period or something?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. No.
And it threw me though. It threw me to the point where I couldn't react in the right way. Right? In the way, so I had a couple different choices. One was I could flip out, tell them to fuck off. Two, like get all flustered, which I did, and start like fidgeting in my chair to where I had to like remove myself and like gather my thoughts. Or I could have looked him square in the eye and said, you speak to me like that again and this meeting's over. Right? Which is what I should have said.
I would have pegged you for C in a second.
I think I was so caught off guard between those two massive egos that I just wasn't prepared for it. But I talk about it in the book because it was an important lesson for me to like always be prepared to receive like a degrading comment like that. And then I just give you like the basic tips of how to remain like, these are the 3 things you need to think about when you're put in a situation like that. And that means just, for me, it was sit still, don't fidget, look him square in the eye, take as long as you need in order to get to that like centered place. Even if you say nothing for 5 minutes, you come back. And when you do have the opportunity to talk, you look him square in the eye and you say, don't ever speak to me like that again. And you'll be, and I did say that after I went to the bathroom, flipped the fuck out, cried, dried my tears, came back down to the table, sat down, and I said, you ever speak to me like that again, and this meeting's over. And he was like, I was just kidding. I was just kidding.
My God.
It was like all the bravado was all there.
The ego. Yeah.
He was flustered that I even looked at him and said anything. So I was able to kind of, repair it a little bit, but I think it's all about like being able to like, act on your feet.
We're also taught to like make jokes about it, or, not joke at them, but joke at ourselves. It's always, we've always been taught to be like, degrading to ourselves in front of everyone.
Right.
That's the big conversation.
True. Yeah. We also have your TV show premiering again this month, $1 Million Listing Los Angeles. Yes. Coming back for another season. So what are some things that the fans are going to see this season? Are there any surprises?
I cannot reveal any of the surprises that are coming. What I can say is a couple things. One, you will see me get one of the biggest listings of my career. And I become actually quite close with Josh Flagg this season, and we have a really good time together.
Awesome.
And I partner up with Altman again on something. And then finally, I kind of put my gloves in the ring a little bit. Those boys are always fighting, and I'm usually like,
I feel like you enjoy it though. You enjoy it though. You enjoy being like kind of the referee amongst all those boys, right?
Don't get me wrong. I love a good Judge Judy, but I actually put my hat in the ring a little bit with the Brits this season, and so we have a little spat.
Nice.
Well, we have a little bit of a quarantine to finish this off, a quarantine and Never Have I Ever edition. If you would like to play with us, and you have to be very truthful, which I'm sure you are going to be.
Almost too truthful.
My daughter's in the room, so I'm glad these earphones are in
okay.
Okay. Like, Never Have I Ever.
No, you can't hear it. She can't hear this.
Tell Jules to go back to the gym
Jules,
in the back.
Go back to the gym.
Okay. I'm going to give you one. Never have I ever noticed a gray hair in my vagina during quarantine.
No, because there is no hair.
It's what down there?
It's because there is no hair.
So what are you doing? You just waxing yourself?
I mean, I don't wax. I laser.
Okay, so it's all bald anyway.
She's good to go.
Yeah,
she's good to go.
Okay, good. Good to know.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Never have I ever. Well, he's in the quarantine with you, but just to spice it up, do you guys do Zoom sex if he's like out and about in your room?
Yeah, no need for that. No need.
How much sex are you having? Are you having sex every day? Are you having sex twice a day? I hate you so much right now.
Honey, she's
I am
having
so
it
mad every day.
She's literally boinking a 22-year-old. She's fucking like 10 times a day.
Twice a day. Twice a day? 3 times a day.
Honey,
no.
more than that. Yes.
Not 3. Okay, 3 was too much for her. 2, she was like, yeah. 3, she was like, no, not that much. Okay, so 2. Twice a day? That's a lot. Oh my gosh. And we just saw the size right then on Zoom, which we are recording.
Love it.
Okay, so twice a day. So you're having sex 14 times a week. I want to kill myself. Okay, let's keep going.
It's like your dream, Tam. Never have I ever. Oh, but you don't do dating apps. Okay, so never have I ever gone more than 2 days without a shower in quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
No, again, because my quarantine is...
You're going to keep that clean as a whistle down there, don't you?
I'm full of quarantine.
Yeah, she's happy. No wonder your dopamine's getting like serotonin's rushing twice a day.
There has been like maybe 2 days out of like the last 4 weeks where for whatever reason, like, and I was a cranky bitch.
So an orgasm a day keeps the moods away.
Yeah,
totally.
Keeps the mood swings away.
Yeah. Keeps my mental health at bay. Oh my gosh. An orgasm a day keeps my mental health at bay. Guys, we can keep going. We could keep going all day.
I mean, that's good. That's good.
Okay. Never have I ever. Well, I didn't know that you were quarantined with someone, so I wrote all these ones like you weren't, because I was like, she's going to be FaceTiming all these weird positions she's going to be in. Okay, so never have I ever, wanted to call an ex while you're quarantined with stud muffin twice a day. So yes. You do know this is audio, a podcast, so you need to actually use words.
Never.
This is not charades.
Okay.
Let's just say it's a flex arrangement.
Wait, oh my gosh. That means you Zoom sex with someone else? How can you do that when you're already
It's called a three-way.
Have you had Zoom sex?
Three-way. You could use three-way in Zoom.
I definitely have not.
You're tired. I got it.
I'm exhausted. I mean, literally.
My child feeds me, I work out, and I get laid twice a day. I'm so tired.
I'm so beat.
Not to mention she also makes her drinks. I mean, it's like the winning. She's got it all. She's got it all.
I have to drink it too. I'm so tired by 8.
I train them well.
That's the thing. How old can they be when they start bartending? Are we talking like 7, 8?
No, I waited till about 14.
That's a good time. Okay. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Well, when I haven't drank in a while. I haven't drank in a while, but my daughter, who's 6, used to go, "Can I get you some wine?" So I thought that was okay, isn't it?
Well, there you go. That's totally fine.
Why not? You know, my little one thinks she's like, because I said to Scarlett that Italians, you know, at the table, the kids kind of grow up with wine being a part of like the culture and the dinner and the whatever. And Scarlett's like, "I love wine." I'm like, "When have you had wine?" And she's like, "I love it." So yesterday I'm like, "Here, taste this." And I let her taste my Chardonnay. And she's like, "That's delicious." And I'm like, "You're so full of it."
Yeah, I know.
She's like,
I'm like, no one likes Chardonnay at 11.
Yeah, she needs like a fuzzy navel. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
My dad. Taste. You have to start with strawberry hill and move your way up.
What you could do though is my father said to my brother, he was like, "I want to drink. I know how to drink." So he said, "Fine, you can drink in front of me." He drank 4 beers, vomited all night, and like was never really into alcohol ever again. Yeah. You should be like, "Sure, just drink, just do it in front of me," you know? And they do. They think they're like big man on campus, but.
Right?
Yeah.
Swinging those balls. Swinging those balls.
And on that note of balls, we should probably go.
Yes. Tracy Elaine Tutor, thank you so much for joining us today.
Always a pleasure.
It was fun, you guys. It took us a while to warm up to the quarantine and the Zoom meeting. But I think we got, the first 15 minutes are a little dry. Hopefully you guys can hang on and edit some of that out.
Oh, but why?
I think they kind of started pretty close into your quarantine buddy. So I think we're good.
Yeah, we're spicy. A little spice.
Well, I like to give you the spice being women on top.
Or the bottom of the side. Or
the back. Reverse cowgirl.
Well, you can get it all
takes.
days, so let's not pretend. She's like, these days you get whatever you can. And I'm like, bullshit.
She's probably getting banged right now, like under the chair.
Yes. She's like, "Sorry guys, my chair is moving slightly."
We love it. And Tracy, where can we find you? Love you too. Tell everyone where we can see you.
Well, the show airs on Bravo, and my book is available for pre-order on Amazon right now. Fear is just a 4-letter word, and that will be out July 14th.
Nice. And always on social media at Tracy Tutor.
Yeah. At Tracy Tutor.
Rudy Toot Toot. Okay.
Rudy Toot Toot.
Rudy Toot Toot.
I love you, girl.
Love you too, boo boo.
I'm just so upset about your life right now. I'm just like, I'm trying not to compare. I know comparison is the death of happiness, but I'm finding it hard. I'm just being real. I'm just being totally honest. Like, I know that I shouldn't, but
she's staring off. Just
it's so funny because she literally couldn't care about anything else but the sex. She's like,
I'm just like, I don't know if I like this interview. I'm like, just rub it in.
Oh. You guys. Okay, who are we? Who are we?
Okay, so you can find us on Women on Top Official on Instagram.
And Women on Top Podcast on Facebook.
And we are
Roxy Manning.
And I am Tammin Sarasok, and we are Women
on
Top.